This is Jeff here, and I'm considering making this a series, actually. We'll see how this goes. Um, I'm gonna give another arena build and whatnot for another Smite guy I play. This one is Hou Yi, I do believe it's pronounced. And he's actually ranked one of the harder gods in the game. But with this build and gameplay I show and whatnot, I think he'll be a lot easier for you to play. Now, we're going to start with the first item of Warrior Tabi. Now, this build isn't nearly as fast attack speed wise as the Xbalanque build I showed. This is definitely built more around power and each individual basic attack doing a lot more damage. The Warrior Tabi though, it's a solid starting item, gives a good bit of physical power and movement speed. Next though, this is probably the most important item in this build, is Devours Gauntlet. You could even consider switching these two and trying to go for Devours Gauntlet first. It gives physical power and 10% lifesteal, but this passive is what you want. You permanently gain plus 4 physical power and plus 20% physical lifesteal per stack, and get a maximum of 75 stacks. This thing will help you shred. Just each basic attack hit will do insane damage once you get this up to 75. Next is Odysseus Bow. This is where a strong majority of your attack speed is going to come from. It also gives chain lightning, so it makes killing minions for Devours Gauntlet stacks a lot easier. And this is where the fun starts to happen, is Rage. You gain physical power, 30% crit strike chance, and obviously the passive, increasing your crit chance by 10 once it starts stacking. And then after that is when shit hits the fan. Deathbringer, ton of physical power, 20% critical strike chance. When you crit, you're going to crit for at least 700 on anything that isn't a tank or building defense. If you're lucky, you'll back-to-back 700 plus crits and just absolutely destroy. This is definitely a late game build. Once scores get around to, between 100 and 200 is when freaking this gets insane. And this is just for shits and giggles. I think I can count on one hand how many times I've ever gotten this far into the build, simply because this is a pretty expensive build. Once you get Executioner, I mean, it's it's gonna be just ridiculous. If you can manage to get Executioner and actually use it a decent bit before like the final kill or two, I mean, it'll just be insane what you can do with this build. Obviously, I forgot to go over passives in my Xbalanque build, but default, I always go Purification Beads and Sprint. Purification Beads, obviously, for popping out of a CC every once in a while. Obviously, if you're facing Ares, you're going to want to max it out. And then Sprint, I just leave as normal Sprint, just for escaping, or trying to run up to a quick fight. Abilities, I actually really like the default abilities that you get in this. I don't mess with the ability. I haven't messed with the ability God Builder in this at all. It's how it is right now. I think is perfect. Going over what you want to do though with when you're fighting. Definitely, this is the most important thing I can tell you. Is if you want to 1v1 someone, Mark of the Crow, Ricochet stun. That will be everything you do if you start engage someone, is hit them with their Mark of the Golden Crow debuff, and then ricochet them, because it'll stun them. It's an entire second, and that's enough for you to get off 2 hits that, if they crit, are going to kill them or make it damn close to killing them. Dive Bomb is a freaking lifesaver. You can get away from anybody. Basically, I mean, if the only thing you can't escape is basically an Ares pool. But if you get in engage and start getting 2 or 3 people on you, leap out quick. And then Sunbreaker, it's a very hard ultimate, I think, to use very well when, unless you're got an Ares or an Odin on your team, or if you're facing an Odin. Because if Odin ever drops his ult, just hit Sunbreaker on it, even if it's an enemy Odin, because you can really screw up some people and save your teammate's ass or your own ass. His passive, Sun Touched, is really nice because you can't be crit back to back, basically. Hou Yi really is actually, I think, one of the bulkier hunters in the game by default. So he can be hard to kill. Combining his already bulkiness combined with Dive Bomb, which I forgot to mention is actually pretty good for trying to chase down people, because you can knock them up in the air, which can break their attacks or whatnot. So it can give you a second to get off another hit or two. So let's show some gameplay now. Alright, so word of warning here. I don't know what it is with me recording these videos, but I always get put in the freaking worst games. Either they're slow as all hell, or my team just straight sucks. But Hou Yi, though, he's definitely built around his XA combo. If you're playing a 360 controller, his debuff for Mark of the Crow, and then his Ricochet shot. Which I forgot to mention, Ricochet, you can bounce it off walls, and if you do it late in the game and get lucky and hit someone, you can really do some insane damage, like hit for at least 1,000. If you crit, that is. But Hou Yi, you'll see plenty of examples here. Just his stun combo is his bread and butter. If you don't have a tank to really pull or keep enemies in one spot, his ultimate's very hard to use. Basically, the only way you can use it if you don't have a tank is to really hit someone with Mark of the Golden Crow and then drop the ultimate on him and hope that they can't, or they don't have a recovery move to get out of it. But with this build, without a doubt, it's late game based. Early game, you're going to want to farm minions and really just not even get in a fight for the most part, unless it's trying to finish someone off that's already really weak. Because his attack speed early game is a freaking joke. It's not even one. But obviously with hunters, you just got to be patient. Wait till late game, because that's usually when you're going to be able to bust out the big damage. And with this build, you can pretty much 1v1 just about anyone in the game, with the exception of the most OP classes, or someone like Medusa, and if they have their ult. But there you go, Hou Yi, one of the harder gods in the game. You use this build and make him one of the easier ones for sure. Thanks for watching.